you were wondering about the level of concern from Republican lawmakers about the news that President Trump had raked in $2 billion during his first year back in office, here is Exhibit A. Congressman James Comer.
He's being transparent about the great amount of wealth that he's accumulated over the past 12 months. Do I like what President Trump's doing? I mean, that's, obviously another discussion. But at the end of the day, what he's done is he's filled out his disclosure form, and I don't think he's left anything out. So he's in compliance with the law.
Joining me now, the ranking member on the House Judiciary Committee, Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin of Maryland. Congressman, I want your take on what we just heard there from Congressman Comer. Does transparency make any of this legal or ethical?
Well, first of all, there's not much transparency. In fact, there's total opaqueness around, for example, who the crypto investors are who've been pumping the White House coffers full of money. But in any event, no, transparency doesn't make it any better. The president has turned the White House into a money-making operation and the presidency into a get-rich-quick scheme. He's made billions of dollars since taking office. By his own account, more than $2 billion. Other estimates are around $10 billion. But if you stick with $2 billion, that's not only 10 times more than every member of the House and the Senate make in our salaries combined. It's more than all of the other presidents in American history have made together, both in office and out of office. There's nothing even close to it. And President Trump has been perfectly clear. He doesn't care about the financial condition of Americans. He doesn't care about anybody's ability to get health care or to get housing. He said he couldn't care less about inflation. In fact, he said, I love inflation, right? So he's living in a completely different stratosphere from everybody else in the country. And people understand that his only objective in office is to make as much money as possible and to stay in office as long as possible in order to protect all of his ill-gotten gains.
Congressman, you've compared the president's wealth to past presidents, to members of Congress. Let's compare it to the money his supporters are losing at the same time that he is gaining. The two largest cryptocurrencies promoted by the president have collapsed in value. Roughly 2/3 of investors in Trump's meme coin are in the red. What does that split screen tell you, Congressman?
It's like Trump University. That kind of set the model for it. He proclaimed a university because there are a lot of people who want to learn and, unlike Donald Trump, want to read books and understand history and society and literature. And these people gave him their money, and 9,000 of them ended up bringing class action lawsuits against Donald Trump and ended up getting $25 million because there was no university, there was no campus, there was no faculty. Most of the professors didn't show up, and if they did, they would try to get their students to sign up for one of their real estate scams and ripoffs. We're living in a society now where we are losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year to scam and rip-off artists, and Donald Trump is pardoning white-collar fraudsters and criminals, along with Proud Boys and Oath Keepers and people who stormed the Capitol, tried to assassinate the vice president, and tried to overthrow a presidential election, all just to keep the scam going so Donald Trump could stay in office. That's what we're dealing with right now. And, I'm traveling a lot around the country campaigning for Democrats to win Congress back. And I'm finding not only huge overflowing, surging crowds on the Democratic side, but I am seeing with my own eyes and I am hearing from candidates all over the country, including my friend Blake Gendabine up in New York 21, that you don't see any MAGA hats anymore. Nobody's wearing a MAGA hat anymore. You don't see red hats out there. Check it out. It's pretty wild. So his support is shrinking down to a hardcore group of people who are either part of his private militia or they think somehow they're going to share in all of the ill-gotten gains of the presidency.
Let's talk about where Republicans in your chamber factor into that. You filed a discharge petition looking to force a vote to officially kill the Trump administration's $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. You would need 6 Republicans to join your petition. Has anyone signed on yet?
Nobody has signed on yet, and that's similar to what we've seen, in the past on other discharge petitions. But that's why people need to be talking about this. Everybody says they're against swiping $1.8 billion from the taxpayers to give to Donald Trump so he can give it to the extremists who form part of his stand back and stand by private militia. If you're really against it, you will sign this discharge petition so we can vote against it and cement into law it's not going to happen, because Todd Blanche keeps saying, well, it's not moving forward at this time, and when your car comes to a stop sign, it's not moving forward, but 5 seconds later it is. And Donald Trump keeps telling everybody he loves the idea, and he's trying to signal to that private paramilitary militia that he's going to get them their money so they can play Who Wants to Be a Mega Millionaire, along with Michael Flynn, who got $1.25 million, and Carter Page, who got it, and the family of Ashley Babbitt, which got $5 million, despite the fact that 2 different federal investigations determined that the Capitol Police had acted reasonably and properly under the circumstances to defend the vice president and the Congress. And you know how much money Donald Trump and his administration and Todd Blanche have given to the police officers who were wounded and injured in heart attacks and strokes and broken arms and legs and fingers and so on? Nothing. He's given them and their families absolutely zero. So we're urging everybody, sign on to this discharge petition, block that, and let's set up a real fund to compensate the people who helped save American democracy on January 6th.
This is one path to accountability. I'm sure you saw this week, former CIA Director John Brennan filed a lawsuit, just happened yesterday, asking the DOJ to preserve any records related to a possible inquiry into him. He had a conversation with our colleague Nicole Wallace about the current state of the DOJ. Take a listen, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
I have complied completely with the requests from the government, despite the speciousness of these investigations and the lack of any evidence indicating any wrongdoing on my part. But I have come to believe, in talking to my lawyers, that we can't trust the Department of Justice to carry out its duties in the manner that it has done over the past centuries in terms of a presumption of regularity.
We should mention Brennan, of course, an MS Now senior national security and intelligence analyst. I think what is interesting here, Congressman, is that we often talk about the institutions, the sanctity of the institutions. I think part of what Brennan is getting at here is that this is about individual rights and whether or not an organization can actually protect individual rights and whether those rights are held in equal regard regardless of who you are.
No, that's what the rule of law is all about. And in trying to attack Joe Biden for weaponizing the government, they were just projecting what their entire plans were, which is to turn the Department of Justice into an instrument of persecution, prosecution, and harassment of everybody from James Comey to Letitia James to Adam Schiff to Maggie Goodlander, you name it. And that's what the name of the game is. They view criminal law enforcement and prosecution in utterly political terms. That's the whole thing. And that, of course, is a hallmark of authoritarian regimes and has taken us way down the road towards becoming an authoritarian society and authoritarian government. But I just want to salute everybody across the political spectrum who's been targeted in this way, who's standing up for their rights and standing up for the rights for everybody, because solidarity is going to be the watchword to get us through this nightmare. We are in the fight of our lives, but we are going to get through it together. And obviously, November plays a key role there.
Congressman Jamie Raskin, as always, thank you for your time, sir.